Ladies, let me tell you something. Before they use you, use your mind, because the world is full of people who will smile in your face, drain your soul, and leave you empty if you let them. But if you learn to think before you feel, observe before you react, and choose your future over temporary validation, you win. You take your power back. You become untouchable. Some people walk around with a heart wide open and a mind sound asleep. That's how you get used. That's how you get manipulated. That's how you end up crying over people who never had good intentions for you in the first place. You keep asking, why would they do this to me? Instead of asking the real question, why did I keep giving them access when all the signs were there? Let's get real. This isn't about bitterness. This is about awareness. You can still be soft, but you must be strategic. You can be loving, but never naive. The truth is, most people don't care about you. They care about what they can get from you. Your kindness, your loyalty, your energy, your money, your attention, your forgiveness. But the moment you stop offering free access, they get angry, not because you changed, but because you stopped allowing them to use you. So I'm here to tell you today, before they use you, use your mind. Your intuition isn't lying. Your gut isn't confused. Your spirit isn't overreacting. That thing in you that feels off is trying to protect you, but you keep overriding it because you're scared to lose people who were never truly yours to begin with. You think being kind means being blind. You think being patient means tolerating disrespect. You think being loyal means staying where you're being drained. No, that's not loyalty. That's self-abandonment. You were not put on this earth to be a doormat for broken people. You are not God to anybody. You cannot save people who are committed to staying broken. You cannot build for people who won't even hand you a brick. You cannot continue setting yourself on fire just to keep others warm. At some point, you've got to put yourself first, not because you don't love them, but because you finally love yourself enough to walk away. Listen, they're not always going to clap for you when you change. They'll say you switched up. They'll say you're acting funny, but you're not acting funny. You're acting wise. You're using your mind. You're learning how to say no without guilt, how to keep your energy sacred, how to watch people's patterns instead of listening to their words. Because let me break it down for you. People don't always come into your life to add to it. Some come to subtract. Some come to distract. Some come to delay. But God didn't create you for delay. He created you for destiny. And your destiny requires you to use discernment. Not everybody who smiles at you is your friend. Not everyone who helps you once is on your side. Sometimes people do things to gain your trust so they can cash out later on your peace, your platform, your labor. That's why you need to guard your gates, guard your time, guard your heart, guard your resources. Before you pour, ask yourself, is this a well or a drain? Are they building with me or just benefiting off me? Are they feeding me or feeding off me? Too many of you are exhausted, not because life is hard, but because you keep giving the best of you to people who give you the bare minimum. You're doing wife things for someone who won't even claim you. You're mentoring people who resent you. You're showing up for people who wouldn't even notice if you disappeared. Why? Because you're scared to be alone. You think loneliness is worse than being used. But let me tell you something. Being alone is peace. Being used is prison. And once you taste peace, once you taste clarity, once you taste freedom from fake friendships and selfish relationships, you'll never go back. Using your mind means waking up. It means looking at reality, not fantasy. It means accepting that some people love the version of you that keeps quiet, that gives endlessly, that doesn't challenge them. And the moment you rise up and use your mind, they call you difficult. Good. Be difficult. Be too much. Be the one that doesn't fall for anything anymore. Be the one that asks questions. the one that pays attention to patterns, the one that walks away when respect goes missing. They may say you're cold now. Let them, because being used feels a whole lot colder. Protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. Everything starts with energy. Every breakthrough, every miracle, every blessing. And when you allow the wrong people too close, they drain you until you have nothing left to give yourself. That's not love, that's robbery. You've been depositing into overdrafted accounts. You've been fixing people who won't lift a finger to fix themselves. You've been loyal to chaos, and you're tired. Your soul is tired. But let me tell you what happens when you start using your mind. You stop chasing, you stop begging, you stop explaining, you stop lowering your standards just to keep a seat at a table that was never built for you. You build your own table. And when you build your own table, the right people come, people who pour back, people who see your worth without you having to prove, people who don't need reminders to respect you. That's what happens when you use your mind first. You attract from strength, not weakness. See, the problem is you were taught to lead with your heart, but your heart is not a GPS. It doesn't come with a compass. Your mind does. Your heart feels, but your mind discerns. You've got to let your mind drive and let your heart ride shotgun, not the other way around. Start being intentional with who you let close. Start checking resumes before giving out loyalty. Not everybody deserves a front row seat in your life. Some people need to be demoted to the balcony. Some need to be escorted out the building altogether, because not everyone is qualified to walk with you into your next chapter. You're stepping into a season where discernment is your superpower, where boundaries are your shield, where peace is your priority, where saying no without explanation is your new form of self-love. Before they use you, use your mind to set your price. Your presence is expensive. Your peace is priceless. Your love is sacred. Stop handing it out like samples at the mall. Let people earn access through consistency, respect, and honor, not manipulation, not guilt, not history. And if you're the one who's been doing the using, it's time to grow up. It's time to stop manipulating people for what they can offer. You don't win by using people. You win by becoming someone so valuable that you no longer have to take, because you attract, because you build, because you give from overflow, not desperation. Before they use you, use your mind to remember who you are. You are not a second option. You are not a backup plan. You are not somebody's emotional landfill. You are royalty. You are chosen. You are whole. Don't be afraid to outgrow your environment. Don't be afraid to be misunderstood. You are not called to fit in. You are called to level up. And that requires separation. That requires silence. That requires reflection. Use your mind to choose what aligns. Choose peace over popularity. Choose respect over attention. Choose discipline over drama. Choose growth over gossip. Choose your purpose over people pleasing. Because the truth is, the moment you stop letting people use you, your life changes. You start building. You start healing. You start rising. You start becoming who you were born to be. Unstoppable, untouchable, unbothered. So ladies, before they use you, use your mind, and don't ever apologize for it. Because the moment you become clear, everything else becomes quiet. You stop asking for closure. You stop justifying your decisions. You stop trying to convince people of your worth. That's what happens when you use your mind. You no longer need noise to feel noticed. You create peace from within and carry it like armor. And with that clarity comes a new standard, a new version of you that doesn't beg, chase, or settle. A version that doesn't romanticize potential, but respects reality. Because too many of you fall in love with what someone could be, not what they are. And that's danger. Because while you're busy seeing their possibilities, they're showing you their patterns. Believe the patterns. Using your mind means you no longer apologize for expecting effort, for asking questions, for needing reciprocation. It means you stop playing small just to keep fragile egos comfortable. You've got too much fire in you to keep dimming your light to match the room. Burn bright. Let them adjust. People who are meant for you won't be threatened by your strength. They'll be inspired by it. They'll match your energy. They'll build beside you. They won't guilt trip you into silence or play the victim when you draw a line, because healthy people don't punish you for protecting your peace. You've got to stop letting your love be louder than your logic. Stop giving access to people whose presence costs you clarity. Some people aren't toxic. They're just too careless with your soul. And when you're building something sacred, you cannot afford to keep doors open for people who treat you like an option. When you use your mind, you start filtering people not by how they make you feel in the moment, but by how they make you grow long term. You stop feeding what's familiar and start investing in what's fruitful. You start thinking like the person you're becoming, not the person you were trying to survive as. Growth requires discomfort. It demands solitude. There will be seasons where you feel misunderstood, even by people who once claimed to love you. That's okay. Elevation isn't communal. Your mind will take you places your old circle can't reach. And that's not betrayal. That's alignment. You will lose people when you use your mind, but you'll gain yourself. You'll rediscover your voice, your vision, your rhythm. And nothing is more powerful than a woman who finally chooses herself, not in bitterness, not in arrogance, but in clarity. You don't owe anyone access to you just because they knew a past version of you. You can outgrow people gracefully. You can love people and still leave them behind. Maturity is learning how to bless people from a distance without breaking yourself. To stay close, you owe it to yourself to protect your becoming. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your transformation. Some people will only understand your evolution when they can no longer reach you. Let them. Your mind is your gatekeeper. It tells you when to speak and when to walk away, when to give and when to pull back, when to trust and when to test. It's not cold to be cautious. It's not harsh to have standards. It's survival. It's self-respect. It's sovereignty. Don't let your empathy blind you to someone's inconsistency. Don't let their sob story make you ignore their repeated damage. Being understanding doesn't mean being exploited. Wisdom is knowing when to walk away, even with love in your heart. Because when you use your mind, you understand that love is not enough. Respect is required. Effort is non-negotiable. And peace is a deal breaker. You stop negotiating with dysfunction. You stop explaining your worth. You stop shrinking to keep a seat at someone else's table. Because now you're building your own. Using your mind is the beginning of freedom. The kind of freedom that makes you magnetic. You stop auditioning for rooms that drain you. You stop explaining your boundaries to people who benefit from you having none. You stop being available for disrespect. You start choosing silence over chaos, strategy over impulse, legacy over emotion. You stop showing up to every argument you're invited to. You stop reacting to every opinion aimed at your confidence. You realize that your energy is currency, and you can't keep spending it on what won't grow you. There is power in knowing who you are, and even more power in knowing what you will no longer tolerate. This version of you has cried enough, sacrificed enough, delayed your own healing enough, and now it's your time not to prove anything, but to move in purpose. Because when you use your mind, you stop living from the outside in. You stop letting other people's chaos become your calling. You wake up and you decide, I am not here to be consumed. I am here to create, to build, to rise. And anything or anyone that threatens that has no seat at this stage of your journey. So one more time, for the woman in the back who still needs to hear it, before they use you, use your mind. Before you pour, check the cup. Before you bend, check the weight. Before you love, check the fruit. Before you give, check the pattern. Your future is too valuable to be spent on people who only show up when it benefits them. Your life is too sacred to be wasted explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Your gift is too rare to be accessed by those who refuse to honor it. So protect it, build it, grow it, own it, because you are not here to be used. You are here to be wise. You ever sit down and think about how much time you wasted ignoring the signs? How many times you told yourself, maybe they'll change, just because you didn't want to face the truth? You weren't in denial because you were weak. You were in denial because your heart wanted something your mind already knew it could never have. That's where it hurts the most, when your heart wants to keep building, but your mind knows the foundation is cracked. Let me say something that might sting a little. Just because someone needs you doesn't mean they value you. There are people who cling to you, not out of love, but out of convenience, because you show up, because you answer, because you care. And the moment you stop doing what benefits them, they call you selfish. But don't you dare let guilt manipulate you back into situations that drained you dry. You're not selfish for choosing your sanity. You're not rude for guarding your peace. You're not cold for stepping away from people who only showed up when they needed something. You see, when you use your mind, you begin to define yourself by who you're becoming, not by who you've been carrying. You've been the one holding it down for everybody else, the strong one, the fixer, the peacemaker. But tell me, who holds you, who covers you, who prays for you? Who prays for you when your smile is hiding silent battles? That's the problem with being dependable. People start to treat your reliability as a resource, not a relationship. And before you know it, you're surrounded by people who don't know your soul, only your service. But that's over now, because you're evolving. You're using your mind, and that means the way you give is about to change. You're no longer pouring from desperation. You're pouring with discernment. You're no longer accessible just because someone knows your name. Access now comes with accountability. This new season, it requires your full focus. You've wasted enough years trying to rescue people who were never drowning. They were just swimming in your effort. And you thought if you gave more, loved harder, forgave quicker, they'd finally see your worth. But let me tell you what using your mind really looks like. It's walking away without bitterness. It's loving yourself so deeply that begging becomes foreign. It's choosing peace over explanation. It's not being angry at them. It's being awakened in you, because you finally realize you don't need their apology to heal. You don't need their closure to grow. You don't need their permission to evolve. You've got God, your purpose, and a mind that's now wide awake. And I promise you, when your mind is sharp, your vision gets clearer. You start noticing what you used to ignore. You start trusting patterns, not promises. You start choosing people who give as much as they take. You stop settling for almost consistent, almost honest, almost available, almost there. Almost is still a no. Half effort is still a no. Inconsistent love is still a no. And you're finally strong enough to walk away from what doesn't serve you, no matter how long you've stayed. Because let me remind you, longevity is not loyalty. Some people stay close just to keep control, just to monitor your growth, just to make sure you don't fly too far without them. But you're not shrinking anymore. You're not staying silent anymore. You're not sacrificing your spirit to stay connected. Using your mind means you let go of familiar pain to reach for unfamiliar peace. And yes, it feels scary at first, because when you stop being used, you'll feel empty. Not because you've lost something, but because you're detoxing. Detoxing from guilt, from trauma bond, from cycles of emotional dependence, from people who trained you to confuse struggle with love. But don't worry, that emptiness doesn't last. You're just clearing space. Space for people who love without leverage. Space for purpose-driven relationships. Space for laughter that doesn't come with a catch. Space for opportunities that match your worth. So don't rush to fill the silence. Sit with it. Learn from it. Let it sharpen you. Let it rebuild you. Because when the wrong people leave your life, the right ones finally have room to enter. You're not broken. You're breaking free. Free from roles you never asked for. Free from expectations you never agreed to. Free from proving your value to people too blind to see it. You're allowed to be soft and sharp, kind and clear, loving and unavailable to nonsense. Your power is not in how much you endure. It's in how deeply you protect your becoming. Because you're not who you were when they met you, and you're not who you're about to become, not yet. But every day you choose peace, discipline, boundaries, and vision over comfort and chaos. You get one step closer. So walk like your future is watching. Decide like your destiny depends on it. Speak like your soul is done settling. Because when your mind is in charge, manipulation fails, guilt fails, games fail, drama fades, and real begins. Real connections, real healing, real growth, real joy. Let them say what they want. Let them misunderstand. Let them leave. That's not your concern anymore. You've got places to go, dreams to build, peace to protect, purpose to fulfill. And if that means walking alone for a season, so be it. Better alone in alignment than surrounded in confusion. Before they use you, use your mind. Use it to rise. Use it to reign. Use it to become the woman no one can play, persuade, or pretend with. Your time of being everything for everyone is over. Now it's time to be everything for you. You ever notice how quiet your life becomes when you stop entertaining confusion? When you finally use your mind and not your history to make decisions? That quiet, that silence, that's peace introducing itself. That's clarity arriving. That's your spirit finally breathing without a weight on its chest. Because for so long you mistook activity for progress. You thought being busy meant you were moving forward. But the truth is, you were just running in circles, solving problems for people who created the chaos and called it love. And every time you tried to express your exhaustion, they told you you were being dramatic. No, you weren't dramatic. You were depleted. And now you're done being depleted for the sake of keeping people comfortable. You're done shrinking your power just to be digestible to those who are intimidated by your boundaries. You're done handing out grace without accountability. You're finally choosing wisdom over emotion. And yes, that wisdom will cost you something. It'll cost you relationships you thought would last forever. It'll cost you the illusion of closeness. It might even cost you the approval of people who only supported you when you were broken, needy, or easy to control. But what you gain in return is priceless. You gain your voice, you gain your time, you gain your peace, you gain your future. Because before they used you, you forgot to use your mind. You ignored the red flags. You listened to potential. You trusted words more than patterns. But not anymore. Now you're alert, not anxious, just aware. And that awareness is your weapon. Now you're not afraid to be misunderstood. You're not explaining your boundaries anymore. You're not asking for permission to heal. You're not shrinking for approval. You're walking into rooms with your head high and your energy guarded because you know what it costs to keep yourself whole. You don't owe anyone the version of you they remember. You don't owe anyone access to the healed version they didn't help you build. You don't owe anyone loyalty that costs you your sanity. This next version of you moves with purpose. She doesn't entertain nonsense just to feel needed. She doesn't explain her silence. She doesn't beg to stay. She observes, she discerns, she chooses, and when necessary, she exits without chaos, without bitterness, without noise, just a clean break. Because when your mind leads, drama fades, the need to prove yourself dies. The people who benefit from your confusion naturally fall off. And you start attracting what's in alignment, not what's familiar. Familiarity is what got you stuck. Familiarity told you to keep returning to pain because at least you knew what to expect. But wisdom says you deserve more than predictable pain. You deserve peace that doesn't keep you guessing. You deserve love that doesn't come with warnings. You deserve joy that doesn't feel like a transaction. So don't you dare apologize for how you're evolving. Don't you dare feel guilty for the boundaries you've set. People who truly love you will adjust. They won't guilt you. They won't weaponize your past. They won't demand access to your soul while refusing to honor your standards. And those who do, they're showing you who they are. Believe them the first time. Using your mind means you believe patterns, not promises. You measure effort, not excuses. You value actions, not apologies. Because a true apology is changed behavior. And you've spent too many years accepting the same cycles wrapped in different words. No more cycles, no more silent suffering, no more mistaking loyalty for imprisonment. You were never meant to carry other people's healing. You are not their rehab center. You are not their emotional landfill. You are not the compensation for their trauma. You can love them and still choose yourself. You can forgive them and still walk away. You can grieve them and still not go back. Let this be your season of emotional intelligence, of intentional solitude, of high standards and low tolerance, of being unavailable for anything less than peace. Let this be your era of spiritual maturity, where you trust that your discernment isn't paranoia, it's protection, where you understand that walking away doesn't mean failure. It means freedom, because you've tried it the other way. You've stayed too long. You've been too far. You've carried more than your share, and it left you empty. But using your mind that fills you up, that teaches you to pour into yourself first, that teaches you to ask who's pouring back into me, not out of entitlement, but out of balance. Your life cannot thrive out of balance. You can't keep being the emotional vault, the unpaid therapist, the last-minute savior, and expect to have enough left for your dreams, your health, your purpose. This is where you shift. This is where your decisions start matching your destiny. This is where you become too focused to be drained, too aware to be manipulated, too grounded to be moved by surface-level affection. Because love without alignment is distraction. Opportunities without boundaries are chaos. And success without peace, it's a trap. You're no longer falling for aesthetics, for titles, for status, for fake connections wrapped in flattery. Now you're looking at energy. You're listening with discernment. You're choosing peace, even when it feels unfamiliar. And yes, it will feel unfamiliar at first, because you've spent years being needed, not known, being useful, not valued, being tolerated, not treasured. But that's over now. You've upgraded. You're no longer the woman who needs to be everything for everyone. You are the woman who protects her soul, honors her voice, and walks away from anything that costs her peace. You no longer exist to be used. You exist to build, to rise, to evolve, to reign. You are wise. You are sharp. You are whole. You are enough because they said it, but because you know it. And when a woman truly knows it, she can't be bought. She can't be shaken. She can't be manipulated. She becomes a force. Before they use you again, stop, breathe, think, ask yourself, is this aligned with my peace, my future, my calling? If not, walk away without anger, without guilt, with your head held high, because your new life, the one you deserve, will cost you your old habits and maybe a few people, but it will give you back yourself. And there is no greater comeback than a woman who finally uses her mind and refuses to be used again.